Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to get a hold of her.
Okay.
Just looking at.
I just clicked the chat button to try to ask her.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I sent the message.
Okay. Guess we'll give it a quick minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, good.
Would it be crazy to jump ahead to the adoption of next year's calendar, just to, not let time go to waste, and then we can come back to the hearings?
That's a great idea, Mr. Dominguez.
Right.
If the chairman wants to entertain that.
All right. All right, then we're going to go right down to adoption of the 2021 zoning board meeting schedule. I believe a copy was posted. Anyone have a recommendation?
This is John Zimmerman. I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Ivan.
Second.
Ivan came in through first. Christian Sumano,
Yes.
throwing a couple of shots in the dark here. Evelyn Ascona, Charlotte McNair, Beverly Sanchez, John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yes.
Carla Castaneda, Michael Belvin.
Yes.
Hey, Carla, I didn't hear you respond if you were still on the call. Where is she?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
Nancy Coppola, and John Cox.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And
We adopt.
yes, it wasn't on the agenda, I guess, because the agenda. Oh no, it got put onto the end, but I guess we can knock this out now. The minutes, yeah, the minutes.
Yeah. Can we move the minutes of the board's November 23rd, 2020 meeting?
Eligible voters are John Zimmerman, Sue McElligott, Carla Castaneda, Michael Belvin, Ivan Adorno, and John Cox.
I'll move the minutes.
This is John Zimmerman. I'll second it.
Thank you, Johns. Okay, John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yes.
Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Michael Belvin,
Yes.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Shammy, Mr. Shammy, have you your reporter yet?
Yeah, I'm communicating with Allison via chat. I believe she's willing to do it if her office gives her permission to do it. So that's where we're at.
Hi, this is Allison, the reporter. I just sent them a message to see if it's okay. They didn't get back to me right away, so I'm just going to try and give her a call real quick. Can you just hold tight for 1 minute?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is Allison, the court reporter. They're not answering, and I even tried the personal number, her personal cell phone number, and she didn't answer. So I'm assuming they must be busy doing something, or she would never ignore me. So I know she's not doing that. What I could suggest is, I don't know if you want to do, like you said, do the Livingston Avenue application first, since that's one I know I can take, and then maybe she would get back to me by the time we're done with that. Or, I mean, I could just, oh, wait, here she is. She's answering me. Hold on, okay? Okay, this is the court reporter. I'm back.
Yes,
You're,
what's up?
you're in luck because she said it's okay.
Great, thank you. Much
Uh,
appreciated.
No problem. Just hold on 1 more second because she's just calling me. She's in a meeting herself. So let me just get everything cleared away with her because she probably took a break just to talk to me. So just hold on 1 more second. I'm really sorry. Okay. Yes, she's fine with it. So, okay, I hope that wasn't me that just caused that. This is the court reporter. What we'll do is we'll just be in touch with Mr. Shammy tomorrow, with anything we need. And Mr. Shammy, if you could just, in the chat, you could just send me your email address.
Very good. I can do that.
Okay, and let me just get my volume up here, and I'm going to put myself on mute, and you guys can start.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Shammy, now that we're going to do both of these together, let me read the other description of the property in, so that we have them both. And then I believe we'll have to take two separate votes, though. Is that correct, Arvin, at the end?
Yes, that's correct. You'll have to take two separate votes. The testimony will be overlapping, so you can cover it
Right.
as though it was one application.
All right, so I'm just going to read the second one into the record now, too. Mamathi Realty LLC, 7 Lawrence Street, Block 275, Lot 17.01, ZB-2020-1. Primary and final site plan applications with D2 variances for the expansion of a non-conforming use and bulk variances in order to create a paved parking lot that will serve the existing warehouse office buildings, zoning district R5, multifamily residential. And I'm going to read the other one back into, because I know the court reporter wasn't on. 3 Lawrence Street LLC, 3 Lawrence Street, Block 275, Lot 14.01, ZB-2019-12. Preliminary and final site plan application with D2 variance for the expansion of non-conforming use and bulk variances in order to create a paved parking lot that will serve the existing warehouse office buildings. Zoning district R6 multifamily residential. Okay, Mr. Chairman, you're up now.
Thank you. We'd like to call Chikbalapur Manjanath as our first witness, please. And I believe he's on the web session. You can unmute, please, Mr. Manjanath.
Let me swear him in. Mr. Manjanath, can you please state your name, spell your name for the record?
First name is Chikbalapur, Chickballapur. The last name is Manjunath, Manjunath.
All right, Mr. Manjanath, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You have the floor.
Yes, I own both the properties, 3 and 7 Lawrence. I have owned 7 Lawrence for 15 years. I have a general contracting business, and I'm running out of 7 Lawrence Street. We are contractors for the federal government. We have done numerous projects for the federal government. We basically bought 3 Lawrence when it was available for sale to get the parking lot because we needed a bigger parking space. Today, we are here to request the board to give us a permit to pave the parking lot, make an organized parking space available to us, and also beautify the parking lot and the buildings all together so it appears nice. And that's all I can say right now, and my team can answer the other questions.
Now, Mr. Manjanath, you are a member of both of the LLCs, both 3 Lawrence Street LLC, which owns number 3 Lawrence Street, and also Mamatha Realty LLC, which owns 7 Lawrence Street, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And we had a conversation wherein you indicated that you would be willing to convey 3 Lawrence Street LLC to Mamatha Realty LLC so that both properties are titled in the same name under one ownership. Is that right?
Yes, I will do that, yes.
But in the meantime, both you and your wife are 50% members or 50% owners of each LLC. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And obviously, she supports this application that you're making before the board this evening, correct?
Yes, she does.
Okay. And how long have you operated at 3 and 7 Lawrence Street?
I bought 7 Lawrence Street in 2005. It was a very dilapidated building with boarded up windows and everything. I cleaned up the place, renovated, made it a Class A building with the sprinkler systems and the fire alarm systems and all the other necessary things. I bought 3 Lawrence Street, probably, if I remember correctly, 2017. I don't have the date in front of me, 2017 or 18. So basically, like I said, I bought the property to have a better parking space, and we did not want to park in the street and clog up the street. So, and today we are here to pave the parking lot.
Very good. And how many employees do you have with Banaka that are on site?
We have in the office, we have 5 to 6 employees working in the office, but totally we have 35 to 40 people. We operate all across the northeastern seaboard, starting from Maine to Virginia down south, and also in Florida. So most of our employees are at the project sites. Only the administrative staff is at 7 Lawrence.
Very good. I have no further questions for this witness.
Any member of the board have any questions for this witness?
No.
Yeah, go ahead. Any professional staff have any questions? Seeing none, you go to your next witness.
Okay, thank you. Our next witness, I'd like to call our engineer, Paul Fletcher.
Mr. Fletcher, can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Yes, it's Paul J. Fletcher, Fletcher.
Mr. Fletcher, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Fletcher, can you give the board the benefit of your training, education, and experience?
Certainly. I have a Bachelor of Applied Science from the University of Toronto. I'm a licensed professional engineer and professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I have been the principal of Fletcher Engineering for 28 years. I've been accepted as an expert in engineering in numerous planning and zoning boards. I often run into Mr. Fletcher and also Mr. Carley, notably in Edison. I've testified in most of the towns in Middlesex County. I'm often in Woodbridge, Edison, Piscataway, numerous others.
Very good.
We will accept expert.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Fletcher, can you describe this project from an engineering standpoint to the board, please?
Certainly. The 2 properties, lot 1401 is 14,535 square feet. It's 100 feet deep, 145 feet wide. Lot 1701, number 7 Lawrence, is slightly smaller. It's 10,465 square feet. It is, again, 100 feet deep. It is 105 feet wide. Both properties are improved by existing masonry buildings. The applicant proposes to construct 2 parking lots, one that would be double stacked, 60 feet wide. That would be for number 3, and that would contain 18 parking spots. For 7 Lawrence, it would be stacked on one side only, 42 feet wide. That would be providing 9 off-street parking spots. The applicant also proposes to provide lighting and landscaping to improve the aesthetics of the neighborhood and his properties. He's proposing to install an underground seepage pit to attenuate stormwater runoff, and that would be with an overflow connected to the existing storm system in Lawrence Street.
Very good. And you've shown the various required parameters on the plans that you prepared and that have been submitted to the board. Is that correct for each lot?
Yes, we have a zoning analysis chart comparing our both requirements for the zone, which is R6 residential, and we've identified. Would you like me to go through them one by one?
I'd be happy to do that if the board feels that would be helpful. So why don't we do that?
Okay. For 3 Lawrence, clearly the lot area is complying, as is the width and depth. With regards to front yard setback, the zone requires 10 feet. There's an existing condition of 5 feet. For side yard setback, individual side yard required is 15 feet. The existing nonconformity is 1.3 feet. With regards to rear setback, 40 feet is required. The existing condition is 0.9 feet. With regards to maximum lot coverage by building, 20% is allowed. The existing condition is 40.1%. With regards to maximum floor area ratio, 0.35 to 1 is allowed. The existing condition is 0.44 to 1. The last variance is something that's being created, and that is maximum lot coverage by all impervious, where 50% is allowed. We are proposing 85.3%. Those are the for 3 Lawrence, lot 1401. Moving to 7 Lawrence, lot 1701. Again, the area, widths and depths are conforming. Similarly, we have a side yard violation where 10 feet is required. Sorry, this is the front yard. 10 feet required, 5.4 feet is existing. With regards to side yard, a single side yard required is 15. The existing condition is 10.1 feet. Rear setback, 40 feet is required. The existing condition is 0.5 feet. Lot coverage by building, where 20% is required. The existing condition is 43.4%. Maximum floor area ratio, where 35% or 0.35 to 1 is permitted. The existing condition is 0.55 to 1. And lastly, the variance that we are creating and requesting of this application is maximum lot coverage by all impervious, where 50% is allowed, 91.8% is proposed.
Okay. The greatest variation from what is existing is in terms of the impervious coverage. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you've assisted the applicant in terms of the design of each space and the lighting for the space. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And is the lighting to be shielded in some way to prevent overflow from neighboring structures or properties?
Yes, it would be screened to not exceed 0.25 foot candles at the property lines.
Okay, very good. Any other salient facts that you feel the board should be aware of in terms of this application, Mr. Fletcher?
There will be a monitoring system for security purposes. There will be the parking lot will be enclosed with a fence and gates, for security purposes.
Okay, very good. I have no further questions of this witness.
Any member of the board have any questions for this witness? Any professional staff have any questions? Seeing none, you go to
Chairman.
your next witness.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, that's Ivan. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about this. This is Arvin. I told the board attorney. Just for clarification of the record, Mr. Shammy, can you can you have your witness, Mr. Fletcher, maybe tell us what's at 3 Lawrence right now and what is at 7? And how are the parking lots that are going to be improved on both of those lots? Are they going to be connected in any way? Is there going to be a cross-access easement necessary?
Very good. So, Mr. Fletcher, can you describe the current conditions that exist on the property? And the question has arisen with regard to a cross-access easement. And if I could just say as an aside, if the property is deeded into one common owner, which would be Mamatha Realty LLC, that might obviate the need for cross-access easement for, between the two properties. But until that happens, I understand we need to draw out some testimony in that regard. So can you describe the conditions on the site now, Mr. Fletcher, and how the two sites will interact?
Certainly. The 3 Lawrence is mainly a gravel area. There is a large concrete area at the back, but it's only about I would say 15% of the area between the buildings. It is used for parking, but it's not certainly not very aesthetic or clean. That
So
area.
3 Lawrence is an unimproved gravel lot. There's nothing else on
There is a area of concrete, but it's essentially mostly, and if you're looking at the site plan, there's an existing conditions on page 1 that shows that.
Okay.
It is.
Let me just bring you back. There is a masonry building on number 3 Lawrence Street.
Oh, certainly.
Which is the warehouse, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But then probably the larger part of the lot is the open space, which I guess up to now has been used for parking, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Gravel area that's open.
Okay. And is that the space that is that going to be double stacked or single stacked on that parcel?
That will be double stacked. There's sufficient distance between the buildings to put a 60-foot wide parking lot.
Okay, very good. And I assume that there will be sidewalk access.
Yes.
That would allow an individual to traverse in front of the buildings to the next parking area or area to be improved.
Yes.
Is that right?
Handicap spots provided, the handicap route to the access of each building.
Okay, so that's been considered, the handicapped accessibility. Okay, and then how about number 7 Lawrence?
Number 7, again, has an existing masonry building. There's not as much open space there. We do have enough room to put a 42-foot wide parking lot, which would conform, allowing the stacking on the one side only. And that parking lot would be essentially dedicated to 7 Lawrence. The one that will be created on the 7 Lawrence property would be shared by 3 Lawrence and 7 Lawrence.
Okay.
I agree with you. Once both properties are in common ownership, I don't believe there's any need for cross-access easements.
All right, very good. Nothing further at this time from Mr. Fletcher.
Any member of the board have any questions for this witness? Any staff? Professionals?
Yes, Chair. This is Charles Harley.
Sure.
We had issued a couple of reports or complimentary reports in October of 2020 on 3 and 7 respectively. From what I gather from Mr. Fletcher's testimony, those outstanding comments from our reports he'd address.
Which ones do you, well, let me,
During resolution compliance, shall comply with everything that we offer.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments for this witness? Seeing none, you can move on to your next witness, Mr. Shammy.
Thank you. Applicant would call our planner, Justin Osceola, please.
Mr. Osceola, can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Yes, it's Justin Osceola, and that's Auciello.
All right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Floor is yours.
Hold on, Mr. Shammy. I know Mr. Arciello has been before this board before. Has your credentials changed in any way since the last time you appeared before this board?
Still licensed and current.
All right. Thank you. We'll accept him as a professional.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Osceola, did you have an opportunity to examine this application, the proposed engineering plans, and what's being proposed and requested of this board to approve for number 3 and number 7 Lawrence Street in New Brunswick?
Yes, I did, Mr. Shammy. I had an opportunity to inspect the application file and all of the submissions to the board, plus the city's master plan and zoning ordinance as well.
Okay. And can you describe the project for us and give us your opinion from a planning standpoint in terms of this application's impact on the overall zoning plan and in terms of the variances that are being sought by the applicant?
Yes, absolutely. And please excuse my dog. My neighbor just pulled up. So hold on one second, please.
No problem.
Well, these are the things that happen when you have these virtual meetings. So I'll try to block them out. I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second, please. My wife is taking him away. Okay, so as Mr. Fletcher had said, this is an application to create 2 improved parking lots, and I think in this application that's a very salient point. As currently exists, the property does have 2 parking areas, but they're not improved up to the city standard or standards. We do require a D2 use variance for the expansion of the non-conforming use. Again, as Mr. Fletcher had said in his testimony, this is a property that's used for office and warehouse under the current standards of the D6 zoning ordinance. Both those uses are not permitted. Therefore, what's proposed would technically be classified as an expansion of a non-conforming use. I think what's unique about this application is that technically under the law, and I'm not speaking as a lawyer here, I'm talking from the planning perspective. Technically, of course, this variance is required because parking as a ancillary use to the principal use is not permitted in this zoning district. However, what we're discussing this evening is the expansion of the accessory use and not the principal primary use. So I think it's important to kind of couch it in that context as we move forward. So yes, of course, we do require the variance for the D2. In addition, there are a variety or a number of bulk conditions that will not be changing with this application. The only expanded bulk condition is for the impervious coverage. And in Bignell Planning's letter that was dated, I believe, on December 17th, there is a denotation that lot 14.01 has the impervious coverage proposed at 85.3%, and lot 1701 is 91.8%. So those are two new violations, which of course are part and parcel to the parking lot or the two parking lots being improved. Now, with all of that context in mind, the standard for a D1, for a D2 variance is different from a D1 variance. A D1 variance is a special reasons use variance, which is required when an applicant has an application for a use that is not permitted in the zone. In this instance, the use is not permitted, but it currently exists. So the case law, states that, when the board reviews an application like this, it's not looking at an application where a brand new use is going to be introduced, into a property. The surrounding area is already, accustomed to this longstanding use. And I would also say that the surrounding area is also accustomed to two parking areas that are unimproved. In this instance, this is an application, as I, had said, that, will bring a variety of benefits, not just to the site, but the surrounding properties. And those include curbing, fencing, gating, and I think most importantly, when you're looking at the review of this application, the standard in the Burbridge case is that the improvement should be on the mere beautifying of a property. I think in this instance, the applicant does propose landscaping, which I would submit is a substantial benefit, not just to the property owner, but also the surrounding properties. And I believe that it's beyond just the mere beautification of this property, with the provisions of curbing, fencing, gating, and lighting. So again, it's not just a benefit for the applicant. I also think it's a benefit for the surrounding area, which includes residential right to the north of this property. For a D2 variance, the standard is also similar to the C2 or flexible C. In this instance, there's a requirement of a showing of some advancement to the purposes of zoning under the MLUL, municipal land use law, and I would submit, it's my professional opinion, that this application would advance criteria G, which speaks of the provision of sufficient space, and in this instance, it's for a commercial use, and also criteria H, which speaks to the promotion of the free flow of traffic. In this instance, it would be two parking lots that are being improved in a safer manner than what currently exists. Also, the benefit as well, as the applicant had said earlier in his testimony, that this will help to bring vehicles from off the road as well. And a desirable visual environment for certain as well. We would advance that criteria. Certainly, this is going to be an upgrade to the aesthetics of the property, and that of course has a benefit to the surrounding area. With respect to the one newly created bulk variance, which is for the impervious coverage, I certainly think that the benefits of this application would outweigh the detriments, which certainly do not rise to the level of being substantial. As was asked, and I'm not going to testify for Mr. Fletcher, but the current state of this property and of this application, I believe it's referenced in the engineering letter, or or a different letter from the city that this property drains out to the road. So there's not going to be a requirement of additional stormwater improvement. So certainly no impairments to the public good with the addition of the coverage. So lastly, you're looking at the negative criteria. I had just covered that for the bulk variance, but for the D2 variance, again, certainly major improvements are proposed. Certainly not going to rise to the level of being a substantial detriment to the public good. The law requires that the detriment be substantial. In this instance, I don't see much in the way of any detriments. I see, more so benefits. And lastly, for the second prong of the negative criteria, I certainly don't see any detriment or impairment to the zone plan or the zoning ordinance. I believe what's proposed this evening is a better planning and zoning alternative, as opposed to the current condition, which of course could continue beyond today, with or without this approval. So certainly I think the benefits certainly benefits the city's zoning ordinance and also the master plan as well. So in conclusion, there are certainly substantial benefits with this application and very few, if any, negatives. That concludes my testimony.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Osceola.
Thank you.
No other questions of this witness from the applicant?
Any member of the board have any questions? Any professional staff have any questions for this witness? Seeing none. You have anyone else, Mr. Shammy?
No, Mr. Osceola was our final witness. Thank you. So, and
Right.
it's something, yeah.
Hey, Dan, do you want to read, as we open it up to the public, you want to read the statement?
Right. I just wanted to ask something that I had in mind. Mr. Ital, I know that the presentation was handled in conjunction one with the other, but we'll still be doing a vote on each address separately, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, yeah. Let me get the thing ready for the comment. At this time, we are preparing to open the meeting to public comment on this application, or I guess these applications, for 5 minutes per person, in order to assure that the Zoning Board of Adjustment can hear from the interested public and the public can hear public comments. I will organize the speakers in order by last name. In a moment, I will unmute the public call, and at that time, I will ask that those with the last name starting with the letter A to provide me your last name, first name, and home address. I will confirm the information is correct and then move on to the next person alphabetically from A to Z. Upon the completion of asking for all last names from A to Z, I will ask one more time for anyone who may want to be placed on the initial list of speakers. We will then move through the list of speakers by calling the person by name and permitting them 5 minutes to speak. Once we complete the list, we will once again check to see if anyone else would like to comment. After, I will then close the public comment portion. Please be mindful that your voice is being telephonically transmitted and to speak slowly and clearly for the benefit of all. I will ask that you please remain silent while folks initially unmute themselves so we can hear each other and begin the speaker registration process. Please be mindful that if you are on the telephone, that you need to use *6 in order to unmute yourself. That's *6. Otherwise, you can use the little microphone icon on the computer. I will ask anyone on the phone or on the computer who would like to speak on these applications, starting with the last name with the letter A. Announce yourself. B, C, D, E, F, G, H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z. Is there anyone that I missed? Mr. Chair, seeing none.
I will close the public portion of this meeting. Board discussion. Anybody have anything to say about this application? Discuss anything? Seeing none. Mr. Shammy, you want to do a closing statement or no?
Thank you. I'll be very brief. I hope the board will favorably consider this application. I believe, as our witnesses have indicated, that this is not really changing the use. We're just trying to improve the parking areas, which will beautify the site, and as Mr. Osceola indicated, have a benefit to the surrounding community and landowners. And also be a safer parking lot for those that need to use it to function in with handicapped access and lighting and security, et cetera. So I hope the board will favorably consider both applications for both properties. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So at this time, I would need to have a motion for 3 Lawrence Street LLC, Block 275, Lot 14.01, ZB 2019-1. Oh, yeah, never mind. I have to have the, yes, go ahead, Arvin.
Mr. Chairman, if we can have Ms. Puniello perhaps go through conditions for the 2 applications, and as I understand it, the applicant has also indicated that there will be a consolidation of the 2 lots since it's a single user in these 2 buildings.
Okay, yes, my mistake, Mr. Ital. Katie, can you please give us the conditions if we are to make a recommendation?
Yes, good evening. This is Katie Pinello, Principal Planner for the City of New Brunswick. Should the board act favorably on this application, we recommend the following conditions of approval. Compliance with the terms of the DNR engineering report dated October 20th, 2020, and the city engineering report dated October 14th, 2020 for the project. Payment of a site performance bond in an amount reviewed and approved by the city engineer as required. Submission of a site inspection escrow deposit for the engineering inspection fees in an amount calculated pursuant to Title 1624-160 as required. Payment of all water and sewer connection fees pursuant to Titles 1304 and 1308 if required. The applicant shall schedule a pre-construction meeting with the city engineering department. Issuance of a road opening permit for the city from the city engineer as required. Compliance with the terms of the Bignell Consulting Group report dated December 17th, 2020 for the above project. Mandatory monetary contribution to the city's tree preservation trust fund in amount required by Title 8.48. Planning review escrow funded for all anticipated post-approval reviews. Payment of all outstanding taxes and water sewer fees. Middlesex County Planning Board approval or waiver. DNR Canal Commission approval or waiver. Freehold Soil Conservation District approval or waiver. Submission of engineering or architectural plans to comply with any changes required by the planning or engineering memos or plan amendments offered at the hearing, if any. Compliance with the city's water service system ordinance, which is chapter 1304. The applicant shall convey 3 Lawrence Street to Mamatha Realty LLC so that 3 and 7 Lawrence Street will be under common ownership. All utilities and other site improvements to be maintained by the applicant at their sole expense. All on-site utilities to be constructed underground. All temporary encroachments into the public right-of-way shall require city council approval. All construction staging shall be done on site unless an encroachment allowing into the public right-of-way is approved by city council. Streets shall be kept clean of sediment and debris. The applicant shall cause the streets to be cleaned if directed to do so by the Director of Public Works. Tracking pads shall be installed at all construction exits. Replacement of damaged streets, curbs, and sidewalks as per the direction of the city engineer. And the applicant has requested the following variances: a D2 expansion of a non-conforming use, There's an existing condition for FAR. Existing conditions also for front yard setback, single side yard setback, rear yard setback, and building coverage. A new variance for impervious surface coverage, and design waivers for parking lot setback to property line, loading and foundation plantings. And that's all I've got for 3 Lawrence Street.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, Chairman Cox, if I may, this is Todd Bletcher.
Sure, Todd, go ahead, please.
Sure. I just wanted to keep try to keep score at home here, and I just wanted to make sure that we included the for 7 Lawrence Street. I did have a in the most recent plan report a parking variance of one parking space. 9.7 would be required. That rounds up to 10, and 9 is provided. So I just want to make sure that our relief included that. The applicant doesn't have to come back one day to get that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bletcher.
Thank you. All right, then. Do I have a motion for 3 Lawrence Street LLC?
This is Sue McElligott. I'll approve a motion.
This is Chris. I'll second.
Okay. Kristen Sumano,
Yes.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yes.
Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Michael Belvin,
Yes.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes. All right, now we'll go to 7 Lawrence Street, Mametha Realty LLC, Block 275, Lot 17.01, ZB 2020-1. Do we need to read conditions into that, or were they read the last time?
I would ask Aravind. They're very similar, but I would.
Yeah, Katie, if you could just read those conditions into the record.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, I was on mute.
No, that's fine.
That's
Okay,
right,
so
thank you.
for 7 Lawrence Street, should the board act favorably on this application, we recommend the following conditions of approval. Compliance with the terms of the DNR engineering report dated October 20th, 2020, and the city engineering report dated October 15th, 2020 for the project. Payment of a site performance bond in an amount reviewed and approved by the city engineer as required. Submission of a site inspection escrow deposit for the engineering inspection fees in an amount calculated pursuant to Title 1624-160 as required. Payment of all water and sewer connection fees pursuant to Titles 1304 and 1308 as required. Issuance of a road opening permit from the city engineer if required. The applicant shall schedule a pre-construction meeting with the city engineering department. Complies with the terms of the Bignell Consulting Group report dated December 17, 2020 for the project. Mandatory monetary contribution to the city's tree preservation trust fund in amount required by Title 8.48. Planning review escrow funded for all anticipated post-approval reviews. Payment of all outstanding taxes and water sewer fees. Middlesex County Planning Board approval or waiver. DNR Canal Commission approval or waiver. Freehold Conservation District approval or waiver. Submission of engineering or architectural plans to comply with any changes required by the planning or engineering memos or plan amendments offered at the hearing, if any. Compliance with the city's water service system ordinance, which is chapter 1304. The applicant shall convey 3 Lawrence Street to Mamatha Realty LLC so that 3 and 7 Lawrence will be under common ownership. All utilities and other site improvements to be maintained by the applicant at their sole expense. All on-site utilities to be constructed underground. All temporary encroachments into the public right-of-way shall require city council approval. All construction staging shall be done on site unless an encroachment allowing into the public right-of-way is approved by city council. Streets shall be kept clean of sediment and debris. The applicant shall cause the streets to be cleaned if directed to do so by the Director of Public Works. Tracking pads shall be installed at all construction exits. Replacement of damaged streets, curbs, and sidewalks for the direction of the city engineer. And the applicant has requested variances for expansion of a non-conforming use, a D2 variance, an existing variance for FAR. There's also existing conditions relating to front yard setback, single side yard setback, rear yard setback and building coverage. There are new variances requested for impervious surface coverage and parking. And there are design waivers for parking lot setback to the property line, loading, and foundation plantings. And that's all I have for 7 Lawrence Street.
Thank you, Katie. Well, do I have a motion from the board members?
This is John Zimmerman. I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Sue McGilligan. I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris Sumano,
Yes.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yes.
Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Michael Belvin,
Yes.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you, members of the board. Wishing everyone a great holiday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Happy holidays.
Take
Thank you.
care, everyone. Thank you.
We'll move on to the next application.
Hi, this is the court reporter. Before we go on to the next application, I need to close out this file and open up a new one. So I just need maybe like 3 to 4 minutes to take care of that.
Sure.
I don't know if you want to
Sure.
just like take a break. Okay, thank you. Give me just a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, this is the court reporter. I am all set. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Allison. All right, so next application is 261 Livingston Avenue, LLC, 261 Livingston Ave, Block 280, Lot 1.01, ZB 2020-09. Once again, I'm going to ask all board members if they have any conflict with this application to please speak up. Seeing none. Ms. Westlake, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Rosalind Westlake. I am here representing the applicant and owner, 261 Livingston LLC, for the property that's located at 261 Livingston Avenue. This is a C3A commercial office professional district, and we're here today to seek approval to construct a 3-story, 9,012 square foot apartment building with 26 units, 37 parking spaces, bicycle storage, underground detention, and enclosed refuse area with appropriate landscaping, lighting, and traffic signage. We do need a use variance today. The zone permits mixed-use buildings with commercial uses on the ground floor and residential on the upper floors. So we are seeking a variance to allow residential on the ground floor. We also need a very small FAR variance, changing the ratio from 0.08 to 1 to 0.88 to 1. And then also a bulk variance for parking spaces. We're requesting 5 less than is required under the ordinance. I have here for testimony, I will start with the site engineer, Brent Pappy of East Point Engineering. I will follow that with the architecture testimony from Yuval Wellish of Wellish Architects. I will have the applicant, Nick Commandis of 261 Livingston LLC, to fill in just some basic questions that were, or fill in the answers rather, to the basic questions set forth in the various staff reports. And then I'd like to wrap up with our professional planner, Glenn Patterson of GP Planning. So without any further ado, Brent, I'd like to get you going. Can you please give the board the benefit of your educational and professional experience?
Yeah, I gotta swear him in. Brent Pappy, can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Yes, it's Brent Pappy, spelled P-A-P-I.
Mr. Pappy, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Floor is yours.
Okay.
Chairman, this is Marvin Isel, the board attorney. If I could just jump in real quick, 2 things. First, it's a housekeeping matter. I've had an opportunity to review the notices and the affidavit publication. Jurisdiction does lie with this board. I find that both of those are in order. And as to Mr. Pappy's testifying, he has testified before this board a number of occasions. Mr. Pappy, since the last time you testified, have your credentials changed in any way?
No, they have not.
We will accept Mr. Pappy as an expert.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to be speaking to our site plan sheet 5 of 17, which is color rendered. The date on the plan is dated December 8th, 2020. That's the revision date. The subject property is, as mentioned before, it's 261 Livingston Avenue. It includes lot 1.01 and block 280. The total area of the site is 24,399 square feet, 0.56 acres, and it's owned by the applicant. The site's located along the northerly side of Livingston Avenue between Edgeworth Place and Wellington Place. It's currently developed on one half with a single-family dwelling and a detached garage, which both face Edgeworth Place. There's also on the property, there's some associated asphalt with the dwelling and an access drive off Edgeworth Place. The balance of the site is predominantly covered with some grass, trees, and some bushes. The property is located within the C3A Community Office Professional District Zone. Surrounding uses are single-family dwellings to the north, a church across Wellington Place to the west, a vacant lot across Edgeworth Place to the northeast, and residences across Livingston Avenue to the south. It's proposed by the applicant to demolish the existing dwelling to construct a new 3-story apartment building with a footprint area of 8,861 square feet. The building will have 26 units, 15 one-bedroom, 6 two-bedroom, and 5 studios. Paved parking spaces are proposed at grade and beneath a covered portion of the building, an overhang. And the parking lot will have vehicular access via driveway entrances at both Edgeworth and Wellington Place. The total of 37 off-street parking spaces are proposed, where 42 are required. And I'm going to go through the breakdown. The calculation of parking is 15 one-bedroom units at 1.8 spaces per unit, six two-bedroom units at 2 spaces per unit, and 5 studio units at 0.5 spaces per unit. That's 41.5 rounded up to 42 spaces required. Variance relief for parking is requested, and planning testimony will be provided by our planner. 2 handicap parking spaces are proposed beneath the covered portion of the building, as well as 2 electric parking spaces and a bicycle storage, which are all done in accordance with the city requirements. A refuse enclosure is also proposed beneath the building overhang to house 2 4-yard commercial containers for refuse and recycling. The enclosure will be gated at the front and will have a separate man door toward the back. The applicant's proposing to use private pickup, and pickup would be for refuse and recycling would be on the same day, approximately 2 times per week. The entire site is proposed to be landscaped with a mix of ornamental trees, evergreen trees, and shrubs. A 6-foot-high vinyl fence is proposed along the common lot line at the rear for buffering and screening as well. The proposed site lighting will consist of a variety of building-mounted LED light fixtures, which have been specified to meet the city light level requirements. The building will be serviced by 2 new water service laterals for fire and domestic that will be tapped at the main within Livingston Avenue roadway. The new sewer and gas laterals will also be connected along Livingston Avenue, but within areas behind the curb. Gas meters are proposed along the northerly side of the building. They'll be screened by a 6-foot-high vinyl fence and landscaping. An electric transformer and electric meters are proposed along the southerly side of the building, which will also be enclosed by a 6-foot-high vinyl fence and landscaping. There's an existing 36-inch storm pipe which passes through the southerly corner of the property from an existing storm inlet at Livingston Avenue, which runs toward Wellington Place. The storm pipe will remain, and the applicant has agreed to maintain a 10-foot separation between the pipe and the new building. Middlesex County is currently working on an improvement project along Livingston Avenue, which involves the replacement of pavement, sidewalk, and curb. The new utilities to serve the new building, which extend from Livingston Avenue's roadway, have been coordinated to be installed prior to this county work. The applicant is proposing to replace other areas of concrete and sidewalk, curb along Edgeworth and Wellington Places, which are outside of the county improvements as part of this project. Fire department connection is proposed at the side of the building facing Edgeworth Place, and a knockbox is proposed facing Livingston Avenue. That's per the request and requirement of the city fire department. With regard to stormwater management and permitting requirements, proposed development will not disturb more than 1 acre of land, but will increase impervious surfaces by more than 1/4 of an acre. And as a result, the site is classified as a major development and must comply with the stormwater management requirements as stated in NJAC 7:8, the residential site improvement standards, and the city's land use ordinance. Additionally, correspondence with the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission has confirmed that the project is considered a major project located within their review zone B and subject to their review and approval. The majority of the project site presently drains off-site in a direction from north to south overland. Overland flow drains toward Wellington Place, which eventually collects to the municipal county conveyance system via the storm inlet located at the front of the property along Livingston Avenue. The applicant's proposing to meet the required quantity reductions for the 210 and 100-year peak flow rates for stormwater management by installing an underground basin consisting of 75 HD 902 HD Cultec pipes surrounded in drain stone with an outlet control structure that has an internal 4-inch orifice and a 2.5-foot weir. The outlet pipe from the structure will be connected to the existing storm pipe, which passes through the property towards Wellington Place, where existing flows currently concentrate. The basin was designed to receive runoff from the parking lot and the building rooftop areas. As part of our drainage design, we've referenced the soil investigation, which was reportedly done by M&Z Engineering Associates. It involved 4 borings across the property and a permeability test. The report indicated that groundwater was not encountered. The soils were tested to have an infiltration rate of 0.39 inches per hour, and this rate was not factored into our size calculations to be more conservative. With the site improvements, the project must also meet the required water quality and incorporate non-structural methods to extent possible. To address this, we incorporated a bioretention swale located along the parking bay that disconnects pavement runoff from the storm pipe system and provides filtration through a naturally landscaped swale. The bioretention swale was designed in accordance with the NJDEP Best Management Practices, Chapter 9.1. The system consists of a soil bed, which has planted vegetation, and an underdrain. Pollutants are treated through the process of settling and uptake and filtration by the vegetation. Pollutants are also treated with the soil bed through infiltration. Based on the DEP Best Management Practices, the total suspended solids TSS removal rate is 80% for the water quality storm. And based on all of that testimony, I feel the stormwater management system and the improvements meet all the requirements of the DRCC, RSIS, and the city's land use ordinance. As it pertains to anticipated traffic at the site, we had reviewed trip generation data through the ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers. So we reference a web-based application, and the results were as follows. The AM adjacent street peak has 9 total trips, 2 in, 7 out. The PM adjacent street peak has 12 total trips, 7 in and 5 out. The results are minimal for the surrounding area and the proposed use. The parking lot will have 2 points of egress, as I mentioned before, off Edgeworth Place and Wellington Place, which provide alternate means to get to Livingston Avenue, which has a speed limit of 25 miles per hour, and it's a county-owned road. We also anticipate majority of the tenants to be local commuters who will take the bus or bike. And based on the above, we do not anticipate any negative impacts to the surrounding roadways. I can go through listing agency permits that are required. As I mentioned, the Delaware Raritan Canal Commission, we will obtain approval. Middlesex County Planning Board, Freehold Soil Conservation District, City Water Sewer Utility, and the City Fire Code. All those approvals will be obtained as part of the application. And the applicant requests the following variances and waivers with site plan approval that will be explained in more detail by the applicant's planner. The applicant is requesting a D1 use variance where the C3A zone requires a mixed use, and the applicant's proposing apartments only on the ground floor. The max floor area ratio variance where 0.8 is required and 0.88 is proposed. The off-street parking variance where 42 spaces are required and 37 spaces are proposed. A traffic impact statement waiver for the same reasons I mentioned above. The foundation planting waiver, because foundation landscaping has been provided along the entire length of the building, frontage and sides. However, at the rear of the building, since there's parking against that side of the building and sidewalk, it prohibits plantings. We are providing a bioretention swale and a fence at the back of the property. However, a 10-foot deep buffer to the residential is required. We're requesting a waiver since we're only providing a 5-foot landscaped area, in addition to that 6-foot high vinyl fence. And I agree and testify that we will comply with all the comments in the city planning and city engineering review reports that we've received to date. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any member of the board or professional staff that has any questions or comments for this witness?
Nope.
All right. Seeing none, you go to your next witness, please.
Yes, I'd like to have Yuval Wellish testify. Mr. Wellish, can you be sworn in, please?
Mr. Wallish, state your name, spell your last name for the record. Can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're still muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry about that.
More smart to do that. My last name is Wellish, Wellisch. First name Yuval, Yuval. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. My license is in good condition and valid. I appeal for.
Can I just interrupt for one moment? I think you need to be sworn in.
Yeah. Mr. Wellish, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may continue.
Okay, like I said, I'm a licensed architect in New Jersey for many years, and my license is in good condition and valid. I have testified before a lot of townships. I'll name a few: Milburn, Livingston, West Orange, East Orange, Fairfield, Montville, Summit, Westfield, Cranford, and a lot more.
We will accept him as an expert.
Thank you. We're proposing a 26-unit, 3-story apartment building on 261 Livingston Avenue. The house is about 22,000 square feet altogether in 3 floors. The 26-unit pretty much go 4 studios at about 509 square foot each, and 1 bedroom, 585 square feet on the first floor. The second and the third floor each have 7 one-bedroom apartments, varying from 601 all the way to 688 square feet, and 3 two-bedroom apartment at 999, almost 1,000 square feet. The building material is going to be brick at the bottom, comprised of 2 different colors to make it more interesting. One of them is blue bay, Old Williamsburg, which is kind of a reddish brick, and the other one is ebonite smooth, which is about like light brown, closer to the ground. Because sometimes when you have the hydration that pulls the water out of the ground, the bottom of the building gets dirty. This will be eliminated with that. That goes all together with hardy plank siding in 2 different tones. One of them will be, the main one will be Booth Bay Blue, which is kind of a grayish color. And the other one is gray slate, all that with white trim with AZEK. The other thing that I would like to mention is that we are providing a building which will not look like every or a lot of apartment building which have like flat roof and so on. Ins and out, a lot of materials, and a roof, a real asphalt shingle roof. So it will look more down to earth and not so cold. We also will try to somehow think about the crime prevention. We only have 2 doors. One is the main lobby, which will also accept UPS, FedEx, and so on with double door. The guy comes in, leaves the packages, leaves the building, can't go in. And 1 other door at the back to go to the parking. And I'm assuming, I guess the owner will testify to that too. They will have some kind of either either a credit card of sort or key to go in. As the engineer had mentioned before, we're also going to have lighting on the house going with the standards that the township will tell us. Most of it will be probably LED.
Can you just confirm where the air conditioning condenser units are going to be located?
Well, I'm not an HVAC guy, but each unit will have the outside portion of it right under the window. You can see it on the elevation. It's kind of a grill.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And for the record, I believe that on the first floor there are 5 studios and one one-bedroom apartment. Is that correct?
You know what, let me check for 1 second. Because we had to change the design lately because of the sewer line. And the plans are so big. 1 second. Now, I have 4 studios and 2 one-bedroom.
Okay, it's not all the way onto the left side. That should be a studio. I just want to make sure for the record we have the correct number of units.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right.
No problem. I just wanted to
I'm
have
sorry.
the record clear.
The plan is 36 by 48, and I have to put it on the floor over here, so you're right.
No, that's fine. No worries. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
I think that's it for Mr. Welsh at this point.
All right. Any member of the board or professional staff have any questions or comments for this witness? Seeing none, you go on to your next witness, please.
Thank you. I'd like to now call Nicholas Commandis.
Hello?
Hi. Can you please state your name, spell your last name?
Sure, it's Nicholas Commandis, Komandis, and I'm one of the members of the LLC that owns the property.
Mr. Commandis, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Floor is yours.
Okay, Mr. Commandis, can you describe the proposed preventive measures that are being used pursuant to the crime prevention through environmental design concepts?
Sure. So if you actually were to take a look at any of the renderings, the property, as the architect explained, it's going to only have the front and the back center entrances, which allow access to the building from the outside. Those are going to be controlled with key fob. There are, however, fire exits at both ends of the building where tenants will be allowed to leave from. It's yet to be determined if we're going to allow those to be left from, even in cases of not fire. I'd be open to doing either one. To be honest, the whole building is going to be monitored with closed circuit cameras. We've changed the front lobby area to actually have a vestibule area. So you essentially walk through a set of doors. That area there is going to be kind of like a waiting room, also a place for packages to be left, and an intercom system and door locking system that would allow you to get into the next set of doors, which would actually give you access to the building. I think that covers everything.
So just to clarify, that would mean that the FedEx guy or the UPS guy could walk into the building and leave a package in that lobby area. But if somebody wanted to gain access who was not actually a resident, they would have to.
They would have to get through the next set of doors would be locked. Without a key fob, you wouldn't be able to get through.
Okay, but how would they contact the unit owner? Is there an intercom?
Yeah, that's where, in that room is where the intercom system would be, that would allow them to then call the different units.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. I'm not sure if Brent confirmed it. The refuse and recycling, those are going to be private haulers?
Yes, so those are going to be private pickup by a private company. It's 2 4-yard dumpsters. We've designed the area to not be the area to be enclosed. It'll have a man door for people to go into the area, and then also on the other side of the structure will be a big gate for the guys who are actually picking it up, pull the dumpsters out, and load them into the truck.
Okay, and you can also confirm that you are comfortable agreeing to the requirements that have been set forth in the various professional staff manual or memos?
I am.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing further to this witness.
Does any board member or professional staff have any questions for this witness? Seeing none, please go on to your next witness.
Yes, I'd like to call Glenn Patterson now.
Hi,
Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Glenn Patterson, Patterson.
Patterson, do you swear affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Floor is yours.
Hey,
Thank you.
Hey, Glenn, Hey, Glenn, have your credentials changed since the last time you were before this board?
Yep.
About 2 months
Mr.
ago?
Chairman, if you don't mind, I would prefer to just put my qualifications on the record, just because a lot of you have known me in a different capacity. So if you don't mind, run through them real quick. I have a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers. I'm a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey, member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I spent 28 years as a director of planning and development for the city of New Brunswick, and I've been qualified as an expert for planning testimony in about 5 different towns in the Middlesex County area.
We will accept you as an expert planner.
Thank you. Nice to see and hear board members tonight. As you've heard from the other witnesses, we're proposing to develop 26 housing units with 37 parking spaces in the C3A zone. There's a necessity for a D use variance, a D FAR variance, and a C variance for the parking. The neighborhood is zone C3A, which is professional office, multifamily zone, mostly with mixed use, professional office, multifamily residential, single family, 2-family residentials also permitted. The neighborhood character is a mix of dedicated professional office buildings, 1- and 2-family houses, mixed use office, multi-family residential buildings, along Livingston Avenue, with the side streets being predominantly single family and 2-family homes. The C3A office and mixed use zone was established several decades ago, transitioned the neighborhood from the larger residential homes, which were falling out of use, to promote professional and multifamily use in the area. The city's master plan reexamination report doesn't really discuss this area. So the controlling document for what the master plan, the city's vision for the area is the 2004 master plan. And the master plan recommends for the C3A zone lower density multifamily development, as well as mixed use office and residential properties. The zoning ordinances, zoning standards for the 3CA zone do not specifically list multifamily as a permitted use when it's standalone. But the intent statement for the C3A zone states that the purpose of the zone is to provide for the expansion and integrity of mixed density, not mixed use, but mixed density residential uses. The intent of the zoning ordinance is to have a mix of residential densities in the C3A zone. To sum up, the master plan recommends multifamily housing in the C3A zone. The zoning ordinance C3A zoning intent statement calls for mixed density, and multifamily is permitted in the zone if it's mixed with the office use. So to go through an analysis of each of the variants, I'll start with the D1 use variance. And as the board knows, you must analyze whether the proposal meets the three-part test set forth by the New Jersey courts in the Medici case. Are there special reasons related to the proposal for the granting of the variance that benefit the public good and advance the purposes of zoning? Are there any substantial detriments to the public good? The zone plan and the zoning ordinance from the proposed development, do the positive benefits from the project substantially outweigh the detriments that may be caused by the project? Additionally, Medici requires an enhanced standard of proof to reconcile the granting of the variance when the zoning doesn't permit the use. So to start, I'll go through the positive criteria or the special reasons. The multifamily residential is permitted in the C3 zone, but only when combined with the office use. Use variance is created in this case because the developer isn't building something additional. It's not created because of what he is building. The zoning ordinance doesn't permit the standalone multifamily residential use. The project would not need a use variance if the applicant had provided some office on the ground floor. The D1 use variance can be granted as the site's particularly suited for the multifamily residential use. The master plan's land use element specifically states that low-density multifamily residential use should be permitted in the C3A district along Livingston Avenue. The C3A zoning standards state that the intent of the C3A zone is to provide for the diversity of housing densities, and specifically states that low-density multifamily residential is compatible with the low-density professional uses recommended for the area. The intent statement specifically states that an intent of the zone standard is to expand mixed density residential housing in this area. The block-wide lot, which stretches from Wellington to Edgeworth, is particularly suited to allow access to the site without using the more heavily trafficked Livingston Avenue for driveway access and egress. Additionally, the project location on Livingston Avenue block end allows vehicles to access the site from the driveway ingress and egress without having to travel further up the block past the other properties on the street, and this mitigates additional vehicle trips on the side streets. The site is in an accessible location, which makes it suitable for multifamily development. It has access to jobs, schools, and retail that can be accomplished without having to rely on a car. The downtown and French Street commercial areas are about a 20-minute walk from the property. The Livingston Avenue Shopping Center, where the Food Town supermarket's located, is less than a half-mile walk in the other direction along Livingston. The Redshaw Livingston schools are about 5 blocks north of the site. The Livingston Avenue corridor is also served by the 814 bus and the county's M1 shuttle. And the walk and bikeability of the Livingston Avenue corridor is currently being upgraded by the construction of a road diet that is adding bike lanes and upgrading the sidewalks and creating a generally safer pedestrian environment along Livingston Avenue. The proposed project advances the purposes of zoning in the municipal land use law, including Purpose E, by providing appropriate population densities that will help preserve the environment. The project does this by developing multifamily housing in an accessible, walkable neighborhood. Promotes Purpose G by providing sufficient space for a variety of uses, including housing, to meet the needs of New Jersey's residents. The project accomplishes this by developing multifamily housing in a location that's accessible to jobs, transit, shopping, and schools without the necessity to rely on car trips to access these things. Meeting purposes E and G are important as the city has a need for more housing to meet the growing population of the city. This proposal helps address this need. The supply of housing in New Brunswick hasn't kept pace with the growing population. Census data shows that the last decade, when the percentage increase in the housing stock outpaced the growth in population, was from 1970 to 1980. Since then, the population growth has substantially outpaced the growth of housing, thus driving up rents and making it difficult for tenants to find properties in the apartments in the city. The project also promotes Purpose H It encourages the location and design of transportation routes, which will promote the free flow of traffic while discouraging the location of such facilities and routes, which will result in congestion or blight. The project accomplishes this by being located on existing transit routes and being in a location that allows walking and biking to many activities. It also promotes Purpose I, the promotion of an attractive visual environment. The proposal accomplishes this by proposing construction in an attractive residential building with appropriate heights and setbacks. And to address the negative criteria, as discussed, the only reason the proposal is not a permitted use is that the office use is not proposed within the building. Again, the master plan identifies multifamily as an appropriate use in the C3A zone. The intent statement of the C3A zone standards calls for the zone to be developed with a mix of housing densities, and multifamily residential use is permitted if it's done as part of a mixed use project. The inclusion of office space in this project would create a more complex management challenge, which could be detrimental. The mixed uses could cause conflicts with the use of the parking spaces, the disposal of trash, and generate additional vehicle traffic. There's no substantial detriment created to the public good, the zone plan, or the zone ordinance, because there is a need for more housing in the city, and the zoning standards do contemplate this type of use. The benefit to the public good of providing needed housing in a walkable location on a site that can accommodate the proposed development, and which promotes multiple purposes of zoning, substantially outweighs any detriment due to the office use not being included as part of the proposal. And to address the enhanced standard of proofs that are required by the Medici case, one of the proofs for reconciling the differences that's specifically cited in the Medici case itself is the change in circumstances since the zoning was last updated. In this case, the zoning was last updated in 2007. The small professional office space uses envisioned by the C3A zone is an antiquated model for how professional office space is provided today. The area has an overabundance of the small professional office space, as shown by the frequent for lease signs along Livingston Avenue and the trend towards non-professional office use. The Commonwealth Fund did an analysis that showed the changes in the medical professional office market and found consistent decline in solo and small group practices, which is the target market of the C3A zone. The share of solo practices has declined from over 40% of the market in the mid-1980s to 17% as of 2014. New Brunswick has seen small practices acquired by large healthcare organizations such as RWJ Barnabas and practices such as Central Jersey Oncology moving up and out of town to more suburban locations. The mixed-use buildings along Livingston Avenue struggle to attract professional offices. Existing offices often install inappropriate signage such as the feather signs and banners to try to enhance their visibility, and by doing so create a signage enforcement problem for the city and detract from the visual environment along Livingston Avenue. Even the purpose-built office buildings such as 330 Livingston Avenue struggle with tenants, as shown by the near permanent for lease sign that is out in front of buildings like that. Other permitted uses such as detached single-family housing have not been a successful development type along Livingston Avenue for decades. The circumstances for professional office development envisioned by the C3A zoning in 2007 have changed, but the zoning has not yet been updated to reconcile for this change. Now let's take a look at the FAR variance, the Florida area variance. The analysis for this variance is showing that the project can be accommodated on the site. 261 Livingston accommodates the proposed project as the project meets all the bulk standards for the development for setbacks, height, and coverages. The project meets the stormwater standards, does not generate a significant volume of new vehicle trips, and as will be discussed a little bit later here, in relation to the C variance, adequate parking is provided for the intended use in this location. The deviation of the FAR from the maximum is a very minimal deviation, with 0.8 being permitted for the FAR and 0.88 being provided. So addressing the negative criteria related to the Florida area variance, there's no substantial detriment to the public good created by the FAR variance, as it's a small deviation and the site is able to accommodate the project as it meets the height, setback, and coverage requirements for the zone. The master plan and zoning ordinance are not negatively impacted by the FAR variance as the deviation is small, and the site allows for the bulk variances to be accommodated as well as the stormwater standards. The engineering testimony is that there is no substantial traffic impacts on the project as the peak hour number of trips are small, plus the development is located in a walkable neighborhood. The proposal for the development of the project does not create any substantial detriments to the public good, the zone plan, or the zoning ordinance. Now finally, to take a look at the C variance for parking. The project proposes 37 parking spaces where 42 spaces are required. The parking standards are set by the one-size-fits-all state standards set forth in the residential site improvement standards, and they are primarily addressed towards a new construction suburban style type of development. RSIS specifically states that local boards have the discretion to apply alternate standards that fit their local conditions. And this board has recognized that New Brunswick is an urban area with walkable neighborhoods and has access to transit, jobs, stores, and services, some of which I've described earlier. The variance request here is small, even under RSIS suburban standards, and it's only 5 parking spaces short of what is required. The project is located in a walkable location, and as I've described, it's within a 20-minute walk of supermarkets, the downtown, the hospital campus, and schools. The proposed parking is appropriate for this type of project and location. An analysis of other non-downtown, non-student infill multifamily projects in New Brunswick shows that the project has an above-average parking space per unit and per bedroom. This project is providing 1.42 parking spaces per unit and 1.16 parking spaces per bedroom. When compared with 6 other similar projects, this project had the second highest ratios when compared to the other 6 projects. Adding additional parking on site would only increase the impervious surface on the site, which would not be beneficial. The comparison demonstrates that the proposed parking is adequate for the project, does not cause excess land coverage, and allows needed housing to be developed at an appropriate location. As the project provides adequate parking, the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, the zone plan, or the zone ordinance. Further, the same purposes of zoning cited for the granting of the D variance are applicable to the parking variance. The board can grant the variance based on a C2 flexible C standard set forth in the municipal land use law. So to summarize, while the C3A zone does not specifically permit standalone multifamily housing, this use is cited in the master plan as a recommended use for the area. Further, the intent statement for the C3A zone in the zoning ordinance states that the zoning is intended to have a mix of housing densities. The proposed project slightly exceeds the allowable FAR standard, but meets all the zone standards for height, setbacks, and coverages, showing that the site can accommodate the proposed floor area without a detriment to the zoning standards and the public good. The revision of the proposed housing will address the shortage of housing that has not kept up with the growth in population within the city over the past 30 years. The project is located in an area that allows residents to do many activities without having to rely on a car, as the project was within a 20-minute walk of supermarkets, the downtown, the Front Street corridor. The D variances can be granted as the benefits of providing the additional housing in the city substantially outweigh any detriments to the public good, the zone plan, and the zoning ordinance, and the variance advance the purposes of zoning. The location of the project also allows the board to find that proposed parking is sufficient. Given the walkable location of the project, the RSIS rules allow the board a flexibility in determining parking needs based on local conditions. The proposed project has been shown to have a higher than average parking provided compared to similar projects in the city. The granting of the parking variance will allow the advancement of the purposes of zoning. The benefits of granting the variances, namely addressing the needs for more housing, substantially outweigh any detriments from granting the variance. And that concludes my testimony.
Oops, sorry about that. I was on mute. That's all I have in terms of a presentation.
Does any member of the board or professional staff have any questions for Mr. Patterson? Okay, seeing none. Katie, do we have, we have to open it up to the public, Dan. You want to read the notice?
I was talking the whole time, but I was muted. So all right. At this time, we're preparing to open the meeting to public comment on this application for 5 minutes per person. In order to assure that the zoning board of adjustment can hear from the interested public and that the public can hear public comments, I will organize the speakers in order by last name. In a moment, I will unmute folks can begin to unmute themselves. *6 if you're on phone, my little microphone button if you're on computer. At that time, I'll ask that those with last name starting with letter A to provide me your last name, first name, and home address. I will confirm that the information is correct and then move on to the next person alphabetically from A to Z. Upon the completion of asking for all last names from A to Z, I will ask one more time for anyone who may want to be placed on the initial list of speakers. We will then move through the list of speakers by calling the person by name and permitting them 5 minutes to speak. Once we complete the list, we will once again check to see if anyone else would like to comment. I will then close the public comment portion. Please be mindful that your voice is being telephonically transmitted and to speak slowly and clearly for the benefit of all. I'll ask that you please remain silent while folks are initially unmuting themselves so we can all hear each other and begin the speaker registration process. Now that phone lines are unmuted, I will ask that any member on the public who would like to comment on this hearing, the last name starting with the letter A, please state your full name and home address. A, B, C, D, E, F,
Yes.
G.
My name's Matthew Funk. I'm a resident at 9 Wellington Place.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. 9 Wellington. Thank you. G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S.
Bob Skorupski, 7 Wellington Place.
Let's see. Hold on.
Skorupski, S-K-O-R-U, P as in Peter, S-K-Y.
Thank you. And what was your address, sir? 7?
7 Wellington.
Thank you. All right. Good. T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Is there anyone else that would like to be placed on the list of speakers that we missed? Okay. Seeing none. First speaker is Mr. Matthew Funk. Mr. Funk, I'm here. Mr. Funk, do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Let me just get the timer ready, sir. And your 5 minutes begin now.
Okay. First, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've been a lifelong resident here on Wellington Place. Obviously, I live in the middle of the block, so I'm not right next door to the subject development. The corner lot, the end of the block, has really been a concern for most of the neighborhood, and I know a number of our neighbors couldn't attend tonight for various reasons. But we do have some concerns. Obviously, when this project was previously approved as a 12-unit owner-occupied property, it was originally, I think, proposed as 16 units. And we all had concerns about the density, the impact to traffic, drainage at the end of the block. Our street kind of turns into a lake during heavy rain over there. They frequently have to close down at least one lane, sometimes 2 lanes of Livingston Avenue. So I know there's a subsurface solution for that, but there is potentially some runoff, and I don't know if any of the drainage issues will be corrected in conjunction with this development. The traffic at the end of the block at rush hour, trying to get off the street, crossing Livingston Avenue, there's been a number of accidents over the years, and even I think two Halloweens ago, somebody was struck a mother with two young children, and was pushing a stroller, because people are really hard pressed to try to get off the line at the end of the street there. Parking is a major issue on our block, especially when the church has service. They have cars stacked up and down not only our street but the side streets and on Livingston Avenue. And in many cases, we've all had our driveways blocked at one time or another with patrons of parishioners of the church. People who live on this street have multiple cars. I think one of our neighbors' homes actually has like maybe 6 or 8 vehicles associated with it. So the idea that you have a development that is more than doubling what was previously approved and going for potentially less parking than what's required is a major concern of ours, because we obviously don't want to exacerbate what's already a pretty bad parking situation on the block. In terms of crime, I appreciate the fact that there's been some thought to that and monitoring. From the site plan issue, I understand that the parking is to the rear of the building. My concern with that is that property has always been a thoroughfare of vagrants and garbage and just a magnet for people doing all sorts of illicit things in the formerly wooded lot. And really up until the fencing was installed for the current county construction project, there was a lot of like drug use and things going on over there. I'm concerned that the parking, if it's not like really closed off and visually controlled, would become just another thoroughfare for whatever to happen back there, which would be a danger to the residents of the building, and also it's sort of a magnet for sort of trouble at the end of the block. The density itself, I know I personally have concerns about having that many non-owner occupied units at the end of the street.
Just letting you know, 1 minute warning.
Okay. We were, a lot more comfortable as a neighborhood with the idea that these were going to be, owner occupied units, because there's sort of a pride of place that goes into that. And if anybody's familiar with Edgeworth and Stratford and Llewellyn and Wellington, many of our neighborhood residents really take pride in our homes and sort of without prompting, even the newer people who've moved in over the last several years, who don't have roots in town necessarily or on a street, really take pride in their homes and really maintain them very well. And we don't generally see that result in a lot of the rental properties in the area. They tend to become a magnet for garbage, crime, drug use, and just sort of like a parade of cars that kind of come in and out. And so those are our concerns as residents, and particularly in my case, I've been here for 44 years. So, I appreciate that somebody's doing something positive with the lot, but I just think maybe there needs to be a little more, to address some of those specific concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. Next up is Bob Skorupski. Hope I didn't butcher that too badly. Are you on still?
I am on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Do you swear affirm tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Your time begins now.
Okay, thank you. First, I've also been here for 44 years, so pretty much know the neighborhood real well. I agree with everything Matt said, so given our tight time constraint, I'm gonna work hard not to repeat anything that Matt said, because I totally agree. I will go to some of the comments made by the experts. Assuming that people will be local and commuting by bike and bus is really a dream. That does not happen.
Yeah, people want their own car.
That does not happen on our street as well. Everybody has multiple cars. I don't see anybody walking to work, nobody taking bikes to work. So while you might have a dream that in someday that people will be biking and walking, that just does not happen. Saying that there's going to be minimal impact to traffic, this Wellington, for some reason, is already a heavily traveled cross street. And with driveways coming onto Wellington, and I'm sure Edgeworth has the same, we've already had very horrific accidents at the intersection of Wellington and Livingston Avenue. And I think having a driveway with somebody saying that there's going to be just, you know, a small number of trips per hour, I think, once again, that's unrealistic. I see how our street empties out and how when the church is having their sessions on Saturday, or if they're having a special event, how our street is clogged. People park to the corners. Very poor visibility, and it's very, very difficult to cross Livingston Avenue. You all are from New Brunswick. You know Livingston Avenue might be posted at 25, but that's another pipe dream. The average speed on Livingston Avenue is probably more like 45 miles an hour. And once again, having traversed it for 44 years, it is very dangerous to cross. So I think that's why our block a lot of times is used so people make right turns to make it easier and not have to cross Livingston Avenue. We need more parking, not less, on this project. Whether they have to go underground or whatever they have to do, they need to do that. Our street has alternate side of the street parking. So aside from the challenges of the church, every Monday and every Thursday for 2 hours in the mornings, the street's got to be emptied, and everybody here jockeys for spots. We're all homeowners. We respect one another. People put cones out. That is how bad the parking is on our street. Put cones out. People at least respect that. I wonder if a renter who does not have any stake in the community will respect somebody else putting cones out so that they can park in front of their own home. The corner, as Matt said, floods during heavy rains. A lot of times Livingston Avenue, one lane is taken. I don't know if they're, adding more water to it. Currently, Wellington and Edgeworth do not have storm sewers, so I only envision water traversing, down the streets, and we're going to have a river, and it may not be a problem in the summer, but in the winter, when it starts to freeze, it will be a problem. That was an issue on Handy Street. They ended up having to put storm sewers in because it was causing so much ice. Like you're talking about groundwater, I can tell you that, and Matt has water as well in his basement. We do have groundwater here on Wellington, roughly 6 feet below grade. I have to have 3 sump pumps in my basement to deal with it. So any extra groundwater being
1 minute warning, sir.
Yep, will not be good. I think that the city should require a traffic study so that they fully understand the impact of all this traffic going in and out of Wellington and Edgeworth and the effect on the neighborhood. This neighborhood has been here almost 100 years, and this project being such a monstrosity, I think is just going to destroy the character of the neighborhood. I appreciate somebody wanting to develop it, but not one big massive building. I also have concern about the noise from 26 air conditioner condensing units. That will not be that quiet. I feel sorry for the people living in the first house alongside this property, but 26 condensing units. I am 30 years HVAC and a mechanical engineer, so I'm speaking from experience. 26 units will be quite noisy. And odors from the dump. Okay. Odor from the dumpsters.
Thank you. Is there anyone else then?
Yeah, please, Charlie Cradaville, I would like to speak.
Okay. All right, Mr. Cradaville. Hold on, just let me. Anyone else?
Mitch Romlicon, 5 Wellington, please.
All right. Okay. Mr. Cradaville, do you swear affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Ron.
Okay, members of the board, thanks for the opportunity to address you.
I'm sorry,
certainly.
Mr. Credible, if I could just interrupt.
Yep, that's fine. I live on Saddam Street here in New Brunswick, maybe, I don't know, 15 blocks away from the subject property. And I was moved to speak by, the other testimony that you just heard. And I want to say I do agree with the suggestion to hold off until a traffic study could be, produced. I do, obviously frequent the area and, second and third, the concerns about traffic and parking. I don't particularly have any problem with, renters, renting apartments because, the reality is that, that there's a big market for that and a big need for housing. But at the end of the day, I am concerned about the, this exacerbating a bad situation. And maybe, maybe some things have been done to mitigate that, but I didn't hear too much about it in the presentation. Maybe one of the experts, maybe the one who I remember from all his years as your board secretary, could tell us a little bit about what, if anything, has been done for traffic safety or to mitigate the issues there, because I do think they are serious.
There's a $8 million road diet being constructed on Livingston Avenue specifically to make the area safer, particularly for pedestrians. It will help, I believe, all users of the street, including, the motorists. Right now, Livingston Avenue is very difficult to get across with the 4 lanes of moving traffic. I think the change in the way the road's is laid out will make that safer and easier for people to get across, give a safer place for pedestrians to cross, and make it easier for the cyclists to ride on the street. So I think there's a lot that's not necessarily part of this project, but there's a major project going on right in front of this project to make it a safer street.
Thank you. Is there any bicycle parking as part of this project? If so, how many spaces?
Yes, there's 10, I believe.
Brent, can you speak to
And
that
would
issue?
I unmuted myself.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes, we do have bicycle parking that meets the city ordinance requirements for the number of units.
Right. Okay. And can you tell me, would the applicant be amenable to including a like a bus shelter, agreeing to maintain a bus shelter at this location? I know there's a number of routes that do, go past this site.
There isn't a bus stop at this location, as far as I know.
Okay. Well, I do know that there are a number of buses that do go right past it, and I would think that it might be in the best interest of all involved if there was a place for people to wait for the bus and the bus would stop there. Probably cut down on the impacts of the traffic and the parking issues. I know, for instance, there's the New Brunswick shuttle will drop you off at that location. Not the one from the 5th and 6th wards, but the other New Brunswick shuttles that the one that goes down towards North Brunswick. So I don't see is it something that the applicant would be open to if there was a bus that stops there, putting and maintaining a shelter to address this?
I mean, it's something I'd have to talk to my professionals and my engineer about. I mean, I'd be open to anything. It's really not something that I've ever even looked into, to be honest. I know because there's not a bus stop there. If New Jersey Transit wants to come and put a bus stop, I really probably wouldn't be able to stop them anyway. It's New Jersey Transit. I don't really know how else to answer that question right now. It's not, putting a bus shelter in a spot that doesn't actually have a bus stop. I don't really see the point other than, that'll actually collect vagrants and there needs to be a bus stop for there to be a bus shelter.
Okay. Well, would you at least
minute warning,
agree to
Mr.
look
Fletcher.
into the.
If I could just jump in, if you know, I believe there is an official bus stop a few blocks up. I believe it might be on Powers and Livingston, but it's not at this location. There is one nearby, but it's not part of this site, and you can't require them to put in a bus shelter as an off-site condition.
Okay, well, I was just asking if it was something that they were amenable to because of the county bus route that goes past, and so I would just ask that if you could look into it and see if there's any possibility that you might be able to do something like that there. That could be helpful. And to the board, I would hope that you do, in the interest of due diligence on this serious issue, request a traffic study and proceed accordingly. So thank you for your time, and thank you to the residents who spoke up.
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville. Next up is Mr. Ramalkhan.
Yes. My name is.
To tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
That is, yes, I do.
Your 5 minutes begin now, sir.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank you all.
Sorry, Mr. Ramalkhan, if we could have your address for the record first, please.
My address is 5 Wellington Place. Is that all?
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to first echo, I completely agree with both Robert and Matthew's statements, and fully 100% agree. But I'd like to also add on to the traffic piece. I'm only a 2.5 year resident, and I have seen accidents in the area. And one of the one of my concerns is, sorry, if somebody can go on mute, please. One of my concerns is exiting onto Livingston Avenue. I think there's poor visibility, so I was hoping that that could be also a part of the traffic study. I don't know if that's already been addressed. Is that something that there can be a response to at this moment? Okay.
I can tell you this. This is Brent speaking. I'm the engineer. Our site exits have been designed to make sure that we provide the necessary site visibility via site triangle in accordance with AASHTO requirements. That's the state requirement for traffic and highway design. So at the driveways that we're proposing, we're showing on the plans the required site triangle based on the speed limit and the site distances that are required per that standard. At the intersection that you're describing at Wellington and Livingston Avenue, the applicant's removing a lot of the overgrowth that may even actually be part of the problem that you're describing. So he's planning on cleaning up that entire corner, removing all that overgrowth, so that when you're at that intersection and you look in both directions, you'll have much clearer visibility, I would imagine, after he clears all that out and he and they do the county road improvements as well. So I anticipate an improvement post construction.
Okay, so I was just asking mostly because I wasn't sure if a massive building structure would impede the view of that you're speaking about. So I'd just like for that to be a consideration. A second piece, I would just like to also ask, how do you intend to regulate the parking lot versus maybe parking permits? I know that residents might have more than 1 or 2 cars per unit as allowed, and how that overflow might be managed. Is that something that was considered?
So as of now, there's already more than 1 parking spot per unit. Also, a lot of your guys mentioning is constantly, other than yours, revolved around the parishioners in the church as being the only time that parking's really an issue there, where that's the church that's causing the parking problem, not the overflow of this project. I can say for myself, for the past 2 years, I've never once gone to the property and not had parking readily available to me on Livingston Avenue, to the point where even the county project that's going on does park some of their vehicles on the street on a daily basis because there's just never any cars parked there. You know,
Okay.
but again, each unit will have at a minimum one parking spot with this building. So every apartment has one spot assigned to it, and then there's still extra spots for if there are any units who want to have more than one car.
Okay, I'm just trying to address the overflow. I understand that there are at least one per unit, but an excess of the density of units in such a concentrated area, I think would potentially cause an overflow issue, and I'd like to just address that officially on this platform.
1 minute warning, sir. That's all.
Okay. The other piece I'd like to understand is the height of the building. Just wondering about the local neighbors with privacy to their backyards. Is that something that can be addressed or at least officially stated?
But I can say the building meets the standards for what's allowed for the height of the building, and it also exceeds the rear yard setback. It's set back substantially from the adjoining property owner. So the building is not right up on I guess that's 2 Edgeworth and 3 Wellington, I guess.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. That Chairman Cox, that was the last speaker. Chairman Cox, you may be muted. You are muted. I don't know if you're trying to talk.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
At this time, we're going to close the public portion of the meeting. Do we have any board member discussion or comments?
Yeah, this is John Zimmerman. Do we know, is there resident permit parking on Llewellyn Street and Stratford, those surrounding blocks? Any resident know if there's a resident permit parking there?
There is no resident parking here currently on Wellington Place.
Okay. Maybe someone can speak to the city about making those blocks resident permit parking. And the developer might be able to relinquish it. Well, it's not there now, so they can't do anything.
Well, John, I feel like that there have been approvals by the city before where they've the developer's been asked to waive their rights in the future, so that if the neighborhood can get permit parking, that the developer would say, okay, we agree that our residents will never be able to participate in that permit parking.
Yeah, that was my
We've
point.
done that before.
Okay, great. That was my point.
Mr. Dominguez, you've got 2 lines open, so if you can mute the other line, we're getting a lot of feedback from your end.
My other line doesn't have a microphone. So it's literally just the one I'm talking through. And I mute myself every time
This
I
is
talk.
Marvin Eitel, the board attorney. Is the applicant, Ms. Westlake, is the applicant amenable to surrendering the right to have any off-street or on-street parking passes, if any are permitted in that area or available in that area in the future?
Nick, you're.
Yeah, I am. I'm amenable to that. I would have no problem if in the future the city were to create those streets to be permit parking, that my building wouldn't be able to get them. That I think that would be fair, because I really do believe that we are providing sufficient parking. I don't foresee myself needing, my tenants needing more than that. So yes.
Mr. Ital, would that be, would that end up being a deed restriction, so a condition on the approval for a deed restriction, or would that be something else?
That could be a deed restriction, but generally what we've done is we've included in the resolution of approval, this was a voluntary condition. I'll speak with Ms. Westlake. If the board does vote favorably on this application, about whether a deed restriction would be appropriate.
Okay. We'll handle the mechanism on the back end if the board were to act favorably.
Thank you all. Any other board member have any questions or comments, or professional staff? Seeing none. Katie, do you have, yeah, I can't even think right now. Conditions, if we do make a suggestion for approval?
Yes, this is Katie Pinello, Principal Planner. Should the board act favorably on this application, we recommend the following conditions of approval. Compliance with the terms of the DNR engineering report dated December 21st, 2020, and the city engineering report dated November 12th, 2020 for this project. Submission of all necessary easements and/or cross-access agreements for review and approval by the board attorney and city engineer prior to filing of same. Payment of a site performance bond in an amount reviewed and calculated by, reviewed and approved by the city engineer, if required. Submission of a site inspection escrow deposit for engineering inspection fees in an amount calculated pursuant to Title 1624-160. Payment of all water and sewer connection fees pursuant to Titles 1304 and 1308. Issuance of a road opening permit from the city engineer if required. The applicant shall schedule a pre-construction meeting with the city engineering department. Compliance with the terms of the Bignell Consulting Group report dated December 17, 2020 for the project. The mandatory monetary contribution to the city's tree preservation fund in an amount required by Title 8.48. Planning review escrow funded for all anticipated post-approval reviews. Payment of all outstanding taxes and water sewer fees. Middlesex County Planning Board approval or waiver. DNR Canal Commission approval or waiver. Freehold Soil Conservation District approval or waiver. Submission of engineering or architectural plans to comply with any changes required by the planning or engineering memos or plan amendments offered at the hearing. Compliance with the city's water service system ordinance, which is chapter 1304. The applicant agrees to waive their rights to residential on-street parking permits. Trash and recycling pickup will be provided by a private hauler. All utilities and other site improvements to be maintained by the applicant at their sole expense. All on-site utilities to be constructed underground. All temporary encroachments into the public right-of-way shall require city council approval. All construction staging shall be done on site unless an encroachment allowing into the public right-of-way is approved by city council. Streets shall be kept clean of sediment and debris. The applicant shall cause the streets to be cleaned if directed to do so by the Director of Public Works. Tracking pads shall be installed at all construction exits. Replacement of damaged streets, curbs, and sidewalks as per the direction of the city engineer. The applicant is requesting the following variances: a D1 use variance, a D4 FAR variance, as well as insufficient parking, and we have design waivers for parking lot buffer width and foundation plantings. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Katie. Do I have a motion from a board member? This is John Cox.
John, go ahead, John.
John Cox, I'll make a motion to approve.
John Zimmerman, I'll second it.
Actually, Mr. Cox?
Yes.
If we can have Mr. Zimmerman make the motion if there's a second.
Sure, not a problem.
Sure, Ivan, I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
This is Ivan. I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. All right. So now my notes look like scratch. All right. What do I know? Okay. Christian Sumano,
Yes.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott. Sue. Sue, you there? *6 if you're on the phone. *6 to unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, I thought I had. Yes, I approve.
All right, thank you. Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Michael Belvin, Michael Belvin, *6 if you're on the phone to unmute yourself. Michael Belvin?
Can you hear me?
No,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It was a no.
Okay.
About that.
Right. Ivan Adorno?
Yes.
John Cox?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Everybody, happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
holiday.
Happy holidays.
My board members, don't run away because we have to do regular public comment, so don't run off. The meeting hasn't finished.
We'll move on to discussion items. Do we have any?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. We'll move on to other matters of interest to the public.
At this time, we're preparing to open the meeting to general public comment for 5 minutes per person in order to assure that the Zoning Board of Adjustment can hear from the interested public and that the public can hear public comments. I will organize the speakers in order by last name. In a moment, people will be able to unmute themselves. At that time, I'll ask for the last name, starting with A, to provide me your last name, first name, and home address. I will confirm the information is correct and then move on to the next person alphabetically from A to Z. Upon completion for all last names from A to Z, I will ask one more time to see if anyone else would like to be placed on those list of speakers. We'll then move through the list of speakers by calling the person by name and permitting them 5 minutes to speak. Once we complete the list, we will once again check to see if anyone else would like to comment. I will then close the public comment portion. Please be mindful that your voice is being telephonically transmitted and to speak slowly and clearly for the benefit of all. I'll ask that you please remain silent when people are initially unmuting themselves. And we can hear each other and begin the speaker registration process. Things are now unmuted. Is there anyone with you know what, it's a small group. I'm going to open it up to everyone instead of going by letter. Is there anyone who would like to comment at all? Anyone at all? This isn't A through Z. This is anybody with any name. Mr. Chair, seeing none.
We will close the other matters of interest. Do I have a adjournment? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Sewell, motion. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Night.
All right, everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas,
Take
John.
care.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay, see you, Dan.
See ya. See you.
Take care.
Bye.
All righty.